living in Florida, I've always lived close to the Everglades, so seeing all the wildlife and invasive species that we have here, you know, always catching lizards growing up, playing with snakes. I've always been interested in wildlife and nature, and fishing has kind of just been my call to that. You know, I love going out, you know, to my local ponds and whenever I can to go, you know, throw a line in the water and see what I pull out, whether it's peacock bass, snakehead, largemouth, snook, tarpon, whatever it is. Just, you know, ever since I was a kid, that's what I've always been interested in doing. How's it going? I'm Colin Gonzalez. I'm 20 years old and I've just been fishing my whole life. You know, it's been the main place I fish for the past, you know, good 18 years of my life, pretty much, 19 years of my life. And there's been a lot of places that I've been to that, you know, come pretty close to what kind of fish we have in your Florida. One of them is definitely Puerto Rico. It's a tropical island, you know, it's kind of a rainforest, you know, it rains almost every day there, and, you know, it's all jungle almost. And the fishery there is pretty crazy. They got, you know, massive tarpon. I've had tarpon eat boat side and I'm freaking out. And, you know, it's just the blood rush and the adrenaline pumping you get is just, you know, it's almost second to none sometimes over there in Puerto Rico. Especially, another thing I like to do, I've gotten into more, is fly fishing. And fly fishing in Puerto Rico is a big deal. When, you know, especially for the one fish, tarpon, you can target them on fly, and it's almost a tug of war with it's exactly a tug of war with a wild animal. You're going hand to hand with a wild animal. That's what's going on. And funny enough, actually tomorrow I'm flying out to Grand Isle, Louisiana to go target redfish in the marsh. So that'll be another great fishing experience and adventure I'll be taking part of tomorrow. One time that I've been, you know, fishing, one experience that I've had was in the Florida Keys, actually. And if you've ever been to the Florida Keys, there's tons of bridges that you go across the overseas highway. So it was probably about 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm out there with my cousins and one of my buddies, and we just have a line out in the water. And summertime of the year, tarpon fishing in the Keys is really hot. So whether it's, you know, small tarpon, you know, big ones that get upwards of a couple 100 pounds, they like, you know, blue crabs, pinfish, but I have a live pinfish out. It's a bait about this big, you know, on a big circle hook, 80-pound leader, and I'm just drifting it out in the current, drifting it out. Next thing you know, if you see a thump, my line starts ripping out. I flip the bail and just zzz, I'm like, oh, I don't know what it is. It's a shark. I think it's a shark. Next thing you know, I see that fish, that silver fish, just flying through the air. I'm like, oh my God, that's it. You know, I'm fighting him for about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. I bring him to the side of the bridge and he breaks off. And from that moment on, I was like, that's the fish. That's the fish I want to chase. My favorite fishing spot is probably had to be in the Florida Keys. Those bridges just hold so much fish, and if you know what you're doing, you know, you can go out there almost any time of the year and catch something nice. Whether it's, you know, mangrove snapper, snook, tarpon, grouper, hogfish, the whole 9 yards. Everything. There's all kinds of species to be caught out there, and, you know, just I've been fishing there since I was a kid, and the amount of time that I've spent there fishing has just been, you know, it's crazy what you can catch there. So when I'm targeting tarpon, it depends on the time of year, really. But let's say here in South Florida, there's something that starts January and goes all the way really through late March, April-ish sometimes. There's a shrimp run. And that's when you get a flow of millions of shrimp coming through the coast and getting to the Miami Bay area. And sometimes you get a full moon and you'll go out and you'll see 150-pound tarpon flying through the air, 6 feet in the air. And that's one of my favorite ways to target them. You get out there, I usually throw artificial, I throw something called a flare hawk. It's a piece of lead with a hook on it that has a bunch of hairs tied to it, and, you know, it flutters in the water and flashes and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And you cast it out there and you rip it, just start ripping, jerking it through the water. Next thing you know, you hook up, you have line start ripping, and then a fish flies through the air. And that's a tarpon. And it's just, that's one of the craziest ways and one of my favorite ways to target them, is because they're so fired up when those shrimp come through, and they'll just come up and they'll gulp. And they'll eat 15 to 20 shrimp at once, and they'll go back down and fly through the air again. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. One of the coolest things, if you ever get to experience it, you definitely should. So the key takeaway I want, you know, to portray and give out here is just get out on the water and go enjoy and explore nature and conserve it. You know, there's personally a lot of people think, and I also think, you know, that if this keeps happening with what's happening in our waterways and our fishery and our water systems, what's happening with the dumping of wastewater and all that, these fisheries and places we like to get on the water might not last very long. So I hope people can just keep our waters clean. A piece of advice I'd give is just go out and do it. You don't need the most expensive gear. You don't need a boat. You don't need a $1,000 piece of equipment. You can go to Walmart, pick up a rod and reel, go get a pack of worms, and you'll have a great day. I still do it sometimes. I'll go throw a cast net for some, small little bait fish and throw them for bass. Just go get out and do it. Go explore and enjoy nature.